Welcome back to another crypto cruise. In this video, I'm going to talk about the very volatile week we just had. We just concluded October, aka Uptober. I'm going to recap just what happened. And also, I'm driving a 2025 Subaru Outback, one of the best hatchbacks there is. So I'm going to review this for you guys as well. All right. So let's talk about October or Uptober in general and what happened this last week. Man, this last week was so volatile, including even the last few days. I mean, it was just a roller coaster, right? This last week, we saw Bitcoin go up as high as 73.6. We were like 100 or 200 points away from breaching all-time high, right? We were so close. During several times in the stream, we saw a lot of shorts get wrecked. We saw Bitcoin breach 72,000 several times, right? But we also saw the opposite too. We saw Bitcoin go down also on stream, go back down to like 68. Also on Friday, we saw it go down after my stream. We saw like on Friday morning, we saw it go back up to like 71.5. It looked like we were going to go up. By the end of the day, it went down to 69 again. It was just a lot of up and down. Seemed like, man, it was very volatile this last week. Wall Street also did not know. It wasn't just Bitcoin. It was just the entire market. A lot of bad earnings from a lot of big tech companies. Some reported well, some didn't. Some just had bad quarters overall, right? Some gave bad forecasts. So Wall Street just wasn't having it. And there were a lot of lettuce hands, panic selling. That's what it came down to. Combined, I mean, a lot of factors, right? So when you combine Wall Street panicking, having bad quarters, bad reports. So when you combine that with a lot of lettuce hands and panic selling overall, right? And when you combine that with a lot of liquidations, both sides, up and down, all around, yeah. That's why we had the week that we did. We saw a lot of volatile movements up and down. And of course, don't forget, you got to add in what we're going to have next week, right? I'm not going to talk about next week because that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow in my Sunday walk video. But that's the reason why we had what we had. So despite it all, though, here's the thing. You know, a lot of people got very disappointed on the last day because a lot of people thought, well, you know, I thought October was here and I thought we were going to have a massive pump, but what happened? You know, a lot of people got really disappointed the last day. And, you know, I had to remind people, and just like how I reminded people consistently throughout the month, October is not over until it's over, right? The first week of October was horrible, absolutely horrible. We like died the first week. The second week and the third week, we recovered a little bit, but overall, it was still not good. We were hovering in the low 60s. People forgot that most of October, we were hovering in the low 60s, and we didn't really move all that much. It wasn't until the last week, this last week, did we see some true movement, right? And once we got above 70K, it seemed like people just got used to it really quick. So when we came down a little bit, it's like people started panicking, and it didn't compute in their head that we're still way higher than where we started in October, and certainly higher than September, and so forth, right? So I had to constantly remind people in the last few days, guys, look at the chart, look at the calendar of gains. We ended October in green, not only that, in double digits. September, I reminded you guys that we ended September, the best September ever in Bitcoin's history, plus 7%. It doesn't sound impressive, plus 7%, but that was the best September in Bitcoin's history. Okay? September, keep in mind, is historically the worst month for Bitcoin, yet we pulled out a win, and it was the best win ever in Bitcoin's history, and we followed that up with another win, plus 11% in October. Sure, it wasn't the historical average of 22%, but nevertheless, it was an 11% win, and we're like 3% away from all-time high. And technically speaking, you know, even though we were 200 points away from breaking our previous high, I mean, that 73.8K that we hit, you know, in March, that was like a brief blip, right? It wasn't like we stayed there for a long time. So technically speaking, if you count all the times, the averages we were above 70K, we already broke through. So bottom line is, we had a fantastic October. People's expectations were much higher than normal. And I think a lot of people, I've said this a lot of people expected October to be better because a lot of people are holding alts that didn't move. And I recognize that sucks. I know, because I hold some alts too. And I recognize that, yeah, when you only see Bitcoin go up and the alts not move, it sucks, right? And I know for some, they hold a lot of alts, like tremendous amount of alts. And when that happens, then you really don't have, you know, a lot of excitement, because you see Bitcoin go up, the alts don't, and some alts got actually kind of weaker, right? This is why I consistently remind people, hey, have a good amount of Bitcoin in your portfolio. A lot of people seem to think that you can't make money with Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people want to just make big money right away. You know, just slow and steady wins the race, just like the tail, you know, the tortoise and the hare, right? A lot of people want to be the hare and just win right away, but a tortoise wins. The ones that have patience and DC and HODL, they generally win. A lot of Bitcoiners laugh at the altcoiners because even though it seems like, you know, they're not winning, but in the end, they do. So, you know, I get it. I get why a lot of people are disappointed in October, because their alts didn't see a whole lot of movement. But, you know, altcoin season will come. It always does. You know, it didn't come now. And I said, I think altcoin season, true altcoin season, will come in 2025, especially the latter half of 2025. Will we see another mini altcoin season? Yeah. We could see it in November, December, toward the end of this year when the Sandra rally comes. Can we see like another like March, April thing that we saw earlier this year? Yeah, we'll probably see that. But you know what? It didn't happen in October. It didn't happen. For some it did. You know, a few little, you know, alts did, but not, I know a majority didn't. But here's the thing, you know, you can't use that as a judgment of the entire market. Bitcoin did well. Bitcoin did really well. And that's why this week it was just like weird, because even though we didn't break through all-time high, I had to constantly remind people, like, man, it was a good month. It was a good month. Anyways, so yeah, that's what happened in October, right? And it was just, yeah, it was a volatile month, or volatile week, I should say. Overall, this entire month man, was a struggle for me, to be honest, because honestly, I tried so hard to get people to, you know, focus, to stay calm, but, you know, there were just so many people that are so negative, and it's tough, you know. It gets tough. It's really tough to do what I do, to stream constantly, to try to get people to stay calm and focus, and continue to hodl and DCA and not panic dump and panic sell, and to see the comments and the negativity and everything else in between. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Especially when the market isn't bad. That's the thing. I can understand. I mean, like, I maybe I just forgot, like, you know, when the market was in the 20s and 30s, like last year, you know, like maybe it was so bad that the naysayers just like left and they weren't even like here. But now, you know, when we're in our 50s and 60s and they're back, you know, it's like, come on, guys, what do you want? How could anyone be negative at 70K Bitcoin? You know, it's like, geez, guys, geez. How can anyone be bearish at 70K Bitcoin? Like, anyways, I think November and December could be absolutely fantastic. Obviously, there are big things coming in November, so a lot of big things starting next week. Again, I don't want to talk about too much, otherwise I don't have anything to talk about tomorrow, right? So I'll leave it at that, guys. Stay strong, stay focused. I think we will close out this year fantastic. We closed out October good, not great, but we closed out good, guys. Don't let anyone tell you differently. We closed out October good, plus 11%, and we closed out September good too. And I think we're gonna close out November and December good as well. So we're compounding good on top of good with more good, and that's all good. All right, now, what about this car that I'm driving today? This is a oldie but a goodie. This is, in my opinion, this is like the best hatchback you can buy. I know there are some, like, you know, like luxury hatchbacks and so forth, but seriously, like, this is one of the best. A Subaru Outback. It doesn't get better than this. For those of you guys that want the practicality and utility of an SUV, but you don't want an SUV, this is what you get. Seriously, it's the best of both worlds. Okay, this is what it is. That's why Subaru hasn't changed the Outback forever. This is like the 6th generation Outback. It debuted in 2020, but honestly, it's like the same thing as the 5th generation. I mean, they updated interior a little bit, they updated out exterior a little bit, but overall it's just like the same thing. And that's because they don't really need to change, because there's no competition, and it's just really good all around. There's really no complaints. I have one complaint, that's really it, but overall, like I said, this is kind of like the best of both worlds. So if you like what an SUV brings, but you don't like to be in a tall riding SUV, this is what you want to buy. This is really it. First of all, let's just start out with this. Why do most people buy SUVs? One of the reasons is for either 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, right? Especially for people that either go off-road or you live in an area that gets bad weather, gets snow, right? That's one of the biggest reasons why people get an SUV. That's what you get with this Outback. Basically all Subarus, I believe, get symmetrical all-wheel drive, which is fantastic. One of the best in the industry. Okay. Why is it so good? Well, symmetrical all-wheel drive basically has torque vectoring, so it can move the power front to back, side to side, I forgot the exact ratio, but basically it can distribute a torque almost all the way to just one wheel if it needs to. It's just really good. I've owned Subarus before. I have driven them in snowstorms, and they are that good. I had a really old Outback, like one that's like 30 years old, and I remember going on a ski trip once, and I was just blowing by people on the highway, and it's due to symmetrical all-wheel drive, and that was like a 30-year-old Outback. This is a brand new one, so I'm assuming this all-wheel drive is way better than that one. So, number one, there you go. Number two, why do people buy SUVs? It's more practical. There's more space, right? You get a bigger trunk space for luggage. Inside, generally speaking, you get more not only cargo room, but more passenger room. That's what you get because it's a hatchback. So if you look in the trunk area, it's pretty big. If you measure the cargo area, it's just as big as an SUV. And if you look at the interior passenger area, it's as big as an SUV. You may not get as much headroom, but honestly, you get a ton of headroom. So bottom line is, you get as much room inside here as a mid-size SUV. You get just as much cargo room as a mid-size SUV because this is like a mid-size hatchback. So from that perspective, it's just as practical as a SUV too, right? So yeah. And then another reason why people get SUV, I mentioned, like to go off-road, right? Maybe you don't do like hardcore off-roading, but yeah, maybe like you go on the trails, you go on the mountain, right? You need a little bit more, let's say, ground clearance. Maybe it gets a little rocky, right? Something like that. You get that with the Outback too. This Outback has 8.6 inches of ground clearance. So if you want to go, you want to go on a nature trail because you want to go kayaking or something, you want to go hiking, you could do that with this Outback. Again, another reason why people buy, like, I don't know, like a 4Runner, for example, something with a higher ground clearance. You get that with this Outback, right? So that's why the Outback is so good. And also, something really unique about the Outback, you got all this black plastic cladding. Now, people don't get why, because some people think, well, it looks ugly, right? It's all around the car. So this is on purpose for people that do go outdoors. You don't have to worry about scratching up your Outback. That's why they did it. It's around the wheel fenders. It's under body, on your front and rear bumper. That's the reason why they did it, right? Again, for people that are adventurous and wants to go out. So, the Outback is great because it gives you all the practicality and utility and safety of SUV while not being an SUV. It's just, this is the height of like a sedan, a little bit higher, a few inches higher. So it's really easy to get in and out, but it doesn't look and doesn't sit as high as SUV, right? So that's what's great about the Outback. That's why it's a really good car. From everything else, I mean, visibility is good. It's really quiet inside. It's comfortable. Has good technology. You have a giant screen, 11.6 inch screen. This is optional, but it's good. It's not the most robust system. The interface is a little dated, it's a little slow, but you get the essentials like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You could get an optional digital rearview mirror. That's pretty cool. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, stuff like that. That's pretty standard these days. This one is the top model, so you got leather seats and a contrast inside. Looks pretty darn good, right? So overall, this is a pretty darn good car. From the outside, it's definitely recognizable. like I said, this Outback really hasn't been changed in a decade, really. But you know what? It really doesn't really need to be changed because it's just good. If I was looking for a car, just like a daily driver, right? Just a really comfortable daily driver that I can take outdoors. Like I said, if I want to like go kayaking or something, especially like I forgot to mention the roof rails, the roof rack. Did you guys see that? It is enormous. It's huge, really rugged, again, covered in black plastic. You don't have to worry about scratching that thing. You don't have to worry about overloading that thing. You just throw anything up there, strap it down, you're good, right? So if you want to throw bikes up there, your kayaks up there, your skis up there, your snowboard up there, that's what this Outback is made for. And it's just like built in up there. So like I was saying, if I was looking for like a daily driver that I wanted to, you know, go skiing with or kayaking with or hiking with, biking with, you know, something that didn't really care about getting dirty and scratched up and yeah, something that just wanted to go out and have fun with, this would be it. This will be it. And the price is not bad either. So the base of this, the base Outback starts around $30,000, and the top end, like this one, tops out about $44,000. So in terms of price, it's better than SUVs, because SUVs now, like the mid-size SUVs, probably start around mid 30s and tops out around like 50s now, right? So this is like about $5,000 less than most mid-size SUVs now. So from a pricing perspective, this is actually a lot better than mid-size SUVs. So that's a huge advantage. I forgot about that. Anyways, that's it. That's it for this review. A full review of this car is going to be on Drivers Only again. All these cars that I briefly talk about, guys, on CryptosRUs is fully reviewed on the other channel, Drivers Only, which is in the description of this video. So make sure you check them out if you're interested. That's where Josh and Steve does a full review on them, and they do a much more comprehensive review on them. So in case you're wondering. All right, guys, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Smash on the like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for my Sunday walk video tomorrow. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.